Summary of the novel, Crime and Punishment. Author, Fyodor Dostoevsky. Chapter 1, Rodion Raskolnikov and His Miserable Life. Rodion Raskolnikov, a poor ex-student, lives in a shabby, cramped room in St. Petersburg, owing rent and unemployed. He feels rejected by society, his mind torn by conflict. He despises the mediocrity of life around him but yearns to achieve greatness to alter his fate, believing in the superhuman theory that extraordinary individuals have the right to transcend moral boundaries. He wanders the sweltering, stifling streets, facing scrutinizing glances from passers-by. Raskolnikov visits Alyona Ivanovna, a greedy old pawnbroker, to pawn his father's old watch. The idea of killing her takes root, as he justifies that Alyona is cruel, selfish, and exploits the poor. The superhuman theory drives him, convincing him he can act for a higher justice. Yet, his conscience wrestles fiercely, questioning whether he has the courage to cross moral lines. Nightmares of crime and feelings of loneliness unsettle him, plunging him into a vortex of dark thoughts. He wonders if the superhuman theory holds true when faced with fear, self-doubt, and a deepening spiritual crisis. Chapter 2, The Encounter with Marmeladov. In a filthy, noisy tavern, Raskolnikov meets Marmeladov, a drunken former clerk. Marmeladov, intoxicated, recounts his tragic life with a pained voice, capturing Raskolnikov's attention. He has squandered all his money on alcohol, leaving his family in abject poverty, reinforcing Raskolnikov's belief in society's injustice. His wife, Katerina Ivanovna, suffers from tuberculosis, coughing blood, living in agony. His daughter Sonia, forced into prostitution to feed her siblings, stirs Raskolnikov's emotions and outrage at her cruel fate. This story seems to validate his superhuman theory, suggesting drastic action is needed to fix injustice, even at a moral cost. Raskolnikov takes Marmeladov home, witnessing a moldy room, starving children, and a desperate, frenzied Katerina. This experience strengthens his resolve to act to change reality, whatever the means. He leaves a few rubles, but the superhuman theory continues to push him toward crime to prove his worth. Chapter 3, The Letter from His Mother. Raskolnikov receives a letter from his mother, Pulcheria, detailing family struggles in a distant province. His sister Dunya is engaged to Luzin, a wealthy but arrogant, selfish lawyer, angering Raskolnikov. He sees society's injustice forcing his loved ones into sacrifice, deepening his belief in the superhuman theory's power. Pulcheria hopes the marriage will save the family from poverty, but Raskolnikov realizes Dunya is sacrificing her happiness for him and their mother. The letter describes Dunya's patience and Pulcheria's love, filling him with deep guilt, convincing him that extraordinary action is necessary to change their fate. Rage at society's coercion of his family pushes Raskolnikov closer to deciding to kill Alyona Ivanovna. He believes the stolen money will restore honor, save his family from suffering, and prove his superhuman theory, that he has the right to transcend morality for a grand, noble purpose. Chapter 4, Decision and Action. After days of inner turmoil, Raskolnikov, driven by the superhuman theory, resolves to kill Alyona Ivanovna to prove his extraordinary nature, above laws. He prepares meticulously, hiding an axe in his coat, calculating when she'll be alone, but wavers between determination and extreme, trembling fear. One evening, in the dim light of her shabby apartment, he breaks into Alyona's home, brutally killing her with the axe, believing this aligns with his theory. While rummaging for money, Lizaveta, Alyona's innocent, saintly sister and Sonia's friend, returns unexpectedly, terrified at seeing her sister's body. Fearing discovery, Raskolnikov kills Lizaveta with savage axe blows, though she was not part of his plan, utterly blameless. He flees with little loot, his mind in chaos, haunted by Lizaveta's saintliness, unable to enjoy his spoils, feeling the world watches his every step. After the murders, Raskolnikov descends into panic, obsessed with his crime, especially Lizaveta's innocent death, Sonia's close friend. He checks his clothes for bloodstains, hides the stolen goods under a rock in an alley, too afraid to use them, consumed by dread of suspicion. He isolates himself, avoiding Razumikin, his optimistic, sincere friend who shares food, books, and offers job help. Razumikin's kindness contrasts sharply with Raskolnikov's gloom, deepening his torment. Summoned to the police station for unpaid rent, he fears his crime has been uncovered. Though it's only an administrative matter, he overhears talk of Alyona and Lizaveta's murder case. Details of the scene, particularly Lizaveta's innocence, horrify him, causing him to faint at the station. The police's growing suspicion ignites, plunging him into extreme tension, nearly driving him mad. Chapter 6, Dreams and Self-Justification. Raskolnikov is haunted by terrifying dreams, seeing himself try to kill Alyona, but she doesn't die, mocking his weakness. These dreams reflect his torment over killing Lizaveta, a saintly figure, Sonia's friend, undeserving of death, shaking his faith in the superhuman theory. He tries to convince himself his actions were just, citing his theory that superhumans, like Napoleon, can bypass morality for lofty goals, like societal reform. He sees himself as one, but guilt over Lizaveta makes the theory less convincing, sparking an inner crisis. He recalls Lizaveta's terrified eyes before death, shuddering, racked with unrelenting remorse. Endless internal monologues, circling his arrogant, superhuman theory and torment, exhaust him, leaving him lost in chaotic thoughts, teetering on the edge of losing control entirely. Chapter 7, The Arrival of Dunya and Mother. Pulcheria and Dunya arrive in St. Petersburg for Dunya's wedding to Luzin. Raskolnikov is furious meeting Luzin, seeing his arrogance, intent to exploit Dunya for status. This injustice prompts him to revisit his superhuman theory, justifying his actions to protect family. The meeting occurs in his cramped room, Pulcheria hiding worries about his health, mood. Razumikin, with optimism and kindness, aids the family, even seeking financial support, starkly contrasting Raskolnikov's anguish, isolation, intensifying his guilt and inner conflict. Raskolnikov argues fiercely with Luzin, calling him vile, urging Dunya to cancel the engagement to save her. The dispute fractures Dunya and Luzin's relationship, adding pressure on him for meddling, while the superhuman theory continues to torment his troubled mind. Chapter 8, Porfiry Petrovich and the Mind Game. Raskolnikov meets Porfiry Petrovich, a sharp, intelligent investigator handling the case. Porfiry acts friendly, offering tea, chatting lightly, but probes psychologically, aware of Raskolnikov's article claiming superhumans can violate morals for great purposes, setting a trap. Porfiry asks sudden questions about the crime's date, referencing the superhuman theory to unsettle Raskolnikov, like inquiring his views on killers. The pointed queries make him feel cornered, yet he denies guilt, though Porfiry suspects him based on criminal psychology analysis. Their exchange is a tense psychological chess match, Porfiry smiling enigmatically, seeming to see through him. Raskolnikov stays composed, leaves rattled, knowing Porfiry lacks evidence but sensing his superhuman theory challenged by Porfiry's keen intuition, probing his soul. Chapter 9, Svidrigailov's appearance. Svidrigailov, a wealthy, debauched man who once pursued Dunya, arrives in St. Petersburg, shocking Raskolnikov. He reveals he knows Raskolnikov's crime through eavesdropping, terrifying him. Svidrigailov's cruel, depraved nature, steeped in vice and immorality, heightens his fears of danger. Svidrigailov doesn't report him, instead manipulating Raskolnikov while pursuing Dunya with sinister intent. He shares his past, including rumors tied to his wife's death, exposing the dead-end, lost life of one living beyond morals, devoid of faith or purpose. Svidrigailov's presence alarms Raskolnikov, facing Porfiry's suspicions and threats from a guilt-tormented man. He feels trapped, realizing Svidrigailov mirrors his failed, superhuman theory, spiraling into debauchery and despair with no way out, a dark reflection of his own path. Chapter 10, Sonia and Redemption. Raskolnikov seeks Sonia Marmeladova, a girl prostituting to support her family, living in poverty. Sonia, embodying compassion, Christian faith, draws him with her purity, noble sacrifice, despite her degrading life. He sees her as light amidst his sinful darkness. In her squalid room, he confesses his crimes, including killing Lizaveta, Sonia's innocent, saintly friend. Sonia, horrified, doesn't judge, embraces him, weeping, urging him to confess for redemption, believing God will forgive, showing profound, heartfelt mercy and kindness. Sonia reads the story of Lazarus' resurrection from the Bible, symbolizing Raskolnikov's potential rebirth. With unwavering faith and compassion, she guides him toward atonement, becoming his beacon, helping him see the value of kindness, forgiveness in life's renewal. Chapter 11, Final Confrontation with Porfiry. Porfiry Petrovich persists in his psychological game with Raskolnikov at the office, masking intent with friendliness. Relying on intuition and criminal psychology, he hints Raskolnikov is the culprit, though without solid proof, leaning on the superhuman theory from his article. Porfiry avoids threats, humanely urging Raskolnikov to confess for leniency, stressing he's tormenting himself more than any punishment could. Raskolnikov denies guilt, yet feels exposed by Porfiry's sharp psychological probing, unraveling his carefully guarded inner thoughts. He leaves the meeting in despair, wandering streets, contemplating flight or facing consequences. Porfiry's indirect pressure destabilizes him, but Sonia, not Porfiry, ultimately leads him to confess, seeking atonement to cleanse his burdened soul. Chapter 12, Svidrigailov's Tragedy. Svidrigailov, cruel and reckless, lures Dunya to a secret apartment, using Raskolnikov's secret to manipulate her with threats. Dunya firmly refuses, drawing a gun, showing strength, resilience against his depraved, lustful advances, standing firm. Desperate, realizing he cannot have Dunya, Svidrigailov releases her. He roams in the cold, rainy night, tormented by guilt, the emptiness of his wayward life, finding no meaning or salvation, only pain, isolation consuming him. Svidrigailov shoots himself, leaving a large sum for Sonia and others. His death, symbolizing the dead end of an immoral life, warns Raskolnikov of the superhuman theory's ruinous path, leading to destruction, a stark lesson. Chapter 13, The Confession. Under Sonia's influence, symbol of compassion, Christian faith, and haunted by Lizaveta, Raskolnikov decides to confess. At the police station, he hesitates, fearing loss of freedom, but recalls Sonia's advice on redemption, forgiveness, urging him forward. He admits to killing Alyona and Lizaveta, Sonia's friend, detailing the crimes with anguish. Sentenced to hard labor in Siberia, he feels relief, unburdened from guilt, thanks to Sonia's spiritual guidance, not Porfiry's pressure, lifting his heavy soul. Sonia vows to follow him to Siberia, bringing unconditional love, Christian faith. His confession marks a turning point, opening atonement's path, with Sonia as his guide, helping him start a journey to rediscover life's meaning, hope. Chapter 14, Siberia and Hope. In Siberia, Raskolnikov lives in a harsh labor camp, initially cold, distant, still clinging to pride, not fully repentant. Sonia, with boundless mercy, Christian faith, visits regularly, bringing food, gentle encouragement, sacrificing selflessly to save his soul. Sonia sews clothes, reads the Bible, patiently stirring faith in him, despite his early indifference. Over months, her love, persistence transform him, leading him to accept guilt, seek forgiveness, embarking on a soul's rebirth, slowly unfolding. One day, he kneels before Sonia, embraces her, weeping, realizing kindness, faith's worth. Clutching the Bible, his soul revives, hope glimmers, though atonement's road remains long. Sonia is his light, guiding his rebirth, restoring life's purpose. Conclusion. Crime and Punishment probes human psychology, questioning morality, salvation. Raskolnikov, led by the superhuman theory, sins to prove greatness, but suffers torment, especially for killing Lizaveta, Sonia's innocent friend, gnawing at him relentlessly. Razumikin's kindness contrasts his darkness. It condemns an unjust society where Sonia, Marmeladov endure pain. Sonia, Christian faith's emblem, guides Raskolnikov to redemption through compassion, sacrifice. Svidrigailov, brutal, lost, suicides in despair, unlike Raskolnikov's rebirth path, aided by Sonia's lead. Porfiry, using humane psychological tactics, hints but doesn't force Raskolnikov. Through Sonia, faith's beacon, Dostoevsky affirms love, conscience heal wounds. Raskolnikov's journey from crime to rebirth proves compassion's power in reshaping human destiny, enduring forever.